Hey guys, sorry that took a minute to get situated. I am making a petite custom wreath right now, so I figured why not do it with some company. All right. So last week, Mom bought her and her daughter matching wreaths with the Chinoiserie bow. The daughter has one of the houses that has like a regular size front door and then a smaller side door. So this is going to be for the smaller side door. So we're just using a 14-inch base. As you can see, it doesn't need any polishing. There's not a whole lot to this one. So the first thing we're going to do is make a hook. All right. Don't have much up here yet. I'm very disorganized. All right. So I'm cutting, this is jute wire or grapevine wire, and I like using it because it does blend in naturally with the grapevine, hence the name. I don't like a lot of mechanics to show, but I also want to make sure that my customer can find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide this through one of the thick pieces of the grapevine. Okay, and I'm going to twist the ends. Okay, and then I'm just going to slide this loop back up. And because it does blend so well, I'm just going to take this little piece of ribbon and I'm just going to mark it. I always find this to be an easy first step because then when you're designing, you kind of know where your North Star is. Especially if you're doing like a full wreath, sometimes we lose our way a little bit, or at least I do. Okay, so this is going to be a hydrangea wreath with the Chinoiserie bow. So I'm gonna make the bow first. And let's see, so this is gonna be put on in between a storm door. So whenever you're doing something that's going between the storm door, you need to make it nice and flat, especially if it's an older house. On a newer house, you probably have like 5 to 6 inches. On an older house, it could be like 3 to 4. So I wanna make sure that this stays really close to the base. All right, so let's do our bow and let's see if I can manage this camera. You know, camera skills are my strong suit. Okay. Let's see. Get all this out of the way. Okay. So we're going to just be working with, this is a really basic bow. I call it the 10 by 10 by 10. But since this is going on a smaller wreath, I'm gonna size this down to, let me see. I'm gonna do it by 9 inches. Okay, so this is so pretty. This is part of the Amazon ribbon I keep talking about, but it keeps coming in all different patterns. It's not consistent, but this one's like really nice. I love it with all the different, like the different dishware. Hey, Betty. Yes, I found like a new contraption and I assembled it with no directions, but it does seem to be working so far. So I think it'll be good for the up close tutorials, like especially the ribbons. All right. Okay, so we are gonna still do the same thing as like the 10 by 10. Everything's gonna be in 9-inch increments, okay? So I'm gonna measure 9 inches and then I'm going to pleat or pinch. Then I'm gonna lay this back down on the ruler, measure 9 inches, and I'm gonna bring this to the back, okay? Now I'm going to give this a nice crisp twist. This is what separates your bows so nicely, the loops. And we're gonna go back, do 9 inches, bring this right behind again, and pinch. So right now I have like a figure 8 in my hand. Okay, give it a twist. We're gonna do another 9 inches. Okay, and this is a really basic bow. This is one of the tutorials in the membership program, but this is a really good bow for somebody who's starting off, or if you just like more simple bows. Not everybody loves the big bows, so you want to have something for everybody. All right, so the tail's about 18 inches. Okay, so we've got this big loop. My dog Steve is like digging up a storm on his dog bed under there. Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to give this a twist, measure 9 inches, and I'm going to cut it. All right, so now I'm going to take my floral wire. This is 22 gauge, and I'm going to slide it right under my thumb and flip it over and just start twisting it nice and tight. Okay, now we're gonna polish our tails. So when we have this big loop here, it's a set of tails. So I'm gonna cut it. Hey, Steve, you need to chill out. Yikes. Oh my gosh, you should see the view with this dog. Okay, so we're gonna dovetail each of the tails. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this in half. So open edges are this way. And I'm gonna cut at an upward angle, a nice diagonal cut. And I'm going to repeat. Just always watch your fingers. It's great having sharp scissors because they do the work for you, but obviously you gotta be a little extra careful. Okay. Actually, in this first one I did, I feel like I made it a little too steep, so I'm just gonna go in. I don't wanna lose the length, but it didn't need to be that deep. Okay. Now we'll see if I can get you back up without making you dizzy. All right. Okay. All right. So for this wreath, a lot of the time I put the bows on floral picks. But for this one, because we want everything to be nice and flat, I'm just gonna feed the wire through. Now you could just go around with the wire. I like to feed it through because again, I want the mechanics hidden. I want the wreath to look as natural as possible. So I'm just gonna feed this through the breaks in the grapevine. And once they're through, I'm gonna just twist it off on the back nice and tight. Position right before I do that. Okay, and the way I'd like to leave this is I have 2 loops out, 1 loop in, and then I split the tails. So 2 out, 2 in. And this is nice wired ribbon, so I'm sure throughout the course of this it's going to get smushed, but we'll be able to just, you know, fix it like new, which is why I love using wired ribbon. Nice structured ribbon. And so for the back of this, you can see, you know, kind of where I just twisted up all of the wire. I'm just gonna tuck this in a bit. We're gonna end up putting some moss over it, but it's for now, so it's hidden. All right, and we're gonna start with our ficus. Ficus is great. It's inexpensive. It's a great guide. So what we're gonna do is we have our ficus. Betty, I must be making you dizzy. I'm so sorry. Not my intention, I promise. All right, so we're gonna take the ficus. It's got 3 branches on it. We're gonna make 4 cuts. So 1 off to the side, the other one on the side, And then this middle one is longer than we need, so I'm gonna cut it here. If ever you're gonna cut in the middle of a branch, you wanna do a break pretty much right above a branch so that it has like a nice, fresh looking start. All right. Oh, I'm glad you're learning, Betty. This is fun. This is the fun stuff to learn, I think. All right, so to start, I'm gonna be using my glue pot. You can see it here. It's from Surebonder, and it works amazing. So much easier than using a glue gun or wiring. All right, so I'm gonna start off in my top corner. And I just need to keep the size in mind here. So actually, I'm gonna cut this a little bit. You got to keep this petite. Petite designs are not my strong suit. All right, so top corner here. And this is how I start all of my wreaths. And what's great about that is you get that muscle memory. And even if you don't know exactly what direction you're going to go in, you know how to start. So if you find that making wreaths can take a while, I would recommend just, you know, this is a really simple wreath recipe, and you can build upon it and do different things, but the actual core of the recipe is nice and simple and minimalistic, and it's a great one to practice or master and then build upon. All right, so I'm dipping my stem in. Now I'm setting the parameters of how far out this wreath is gonna go. So this is the height, and this is gonna be the width. And everything I do, pretty much I repeat, and the benefit of that is things stay nice and balanced. Okay. Now we're gonna put some behind our bow. I always feel like the bow is kind of like the center of the wreath, so for anything above the bow, I'm sliding things down. For anything below the bow, I try and slide things up because it's gonna catch a little bit better. If your wreath is like really thick in some areas and you're struggling to try and like, you know, slide it in upward, it's okay. It doesn't have to be. It's just, I just think it's a preferred way of doing it. If you can, great, and if you can't, it's not a problem. All right, so we're gonna do one here in the corner. And then we're gonna mirror that and do one right below it. So yes, I think this is so thoughtful. This mom gifting her daughter not one but two wreaths. I think wreaths make such a great gift. I know I'm not the most biased person, but when it comes to wreaths. So these are the little nubbins. These are the little pieces that we cut off. I'm not going to waste them. I want to use them to cover up our grapevine base. So I'll just put that there. The reason why I don't really use them like on the ends is they just don't have that pointy tip like the others do. The other ones look kind of like just nice and crisp. So this is really just a filler. So the original wreath, the first wreath that the daughter got, had really big hydrangea, big white hydrangea heads and some Ranaculus. So the mom said something like similar, but not exact. So we're gonna go in, I think we're gonna use, so we have our white hydrangea. This is called denim blue hydrangea. And we have our Ranaculus. And let's see, we have some berries. So there's really not a ton of materials needed for this either. So if you are new and you really aren't, you know, looking to spend a lot because you don't know if you're gonna like it, or you're not exactly sure what items you're gonna want to work with long term, I would say that just having a recipe with like just a few things is a nice, easy way to get started. Whenever I'm done with my ribbons, because I don't know about anybody else, but I have such a mess, I always just put a pin in them just so I stay organized. All right, so with our hydrangeas, I like the foliage on this. I think it looks lifelike. When foliage looks artificial, I will pull it off because I feel like it just kind of cheapens the overall look. So we are going to start with 4. And if you look when you get like a bush of something, there are some that are similar shapes. So like these 4 are all the same. They kind of go like side to side. But then this one's like full. So this one would be used differently. And I just want to make sure that if I'm going to be balanced, then I need to make sure that I'm using the same sizes. So we're going to work with these 4. All right. And again, because it's a storm door, we're going to come pretty much right up against the grapevine. So our first hydrangea is like gently nuzzling our bow. It's not smushing it. It's not jammed into it. It's just kind of resting next to it. And that's what we want because we want every element to show. So I'm just thinking as I go. Might be cute if we alternated. You know what? I think that might be too much blue. Okay, let's just stick with the white hydrangea right now. I feel like I always pull that denim out and then I don't use it. Let me grab a second thing of the hydrangeas. Betty, what have you been working on? Have you been doing some spring wreaths or arrangements? Okay, so again, I'm going to mirror the placement here. This one's going to go more on the outside. And then the second one is going to go more towards the inside. And then let's put spring and Easter. Yeah, I've only done one Easter and it has not sold. I feel like I don't have as good a luck with the holidays. Sometimes I just start way too late, but this year I actually did it on time. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's see. All right. I appreciate it. You know, I'm going to spread these out a little bit. I think this will look better. So I'm going to put the bigger bloom towards the inside, and then I'm going to take the smaller bloom and put it more towards the outside. Okay, and we'll do some filling in with some greenery. Thank you, Odette. And is it Gunge? I think I'm saying your name wrong. I apologize. Oh. All right, well, I didn't know my own strength on that one because I broke the flower and I broke the hook. So let's just see here. I use, I guess for my glue sticks, I use Gorilla Glue, and then for my glue skillet, I use the Surebonder brand. So So we're going to redo our hook since I just ripped it off and broke a branch. Let's undo this. Hey, Cynthia. I know a Cynthia Sear. Could you be one and the same? Are you in Massachusetts? Oh, welcome to the channel. Thank you. I know there's a lot of awesome content to watch, so I always appreciate if someone takes the time to watch, even if it's just for a minute. So thank you. All right, so I'm gonna redo this hook. Now it's too short. Oh, Savannah, Georgia. Okay. Well, the woman in Massachusetts is pretty fabulous, and I bet you are as well. It's a great name. Okay, so we're gonna redo our hook to hang the wreath from. So I had it right at the top center, okay, and I can actually see where I broke that piece. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and feed this through 2 pieces, so I don't do that again. Feed it through. And then this is just a very simple loop. So we're just gonna take the ends and we're just gonna twist them off. Okay. And then I'm gonna slide the loop so that the ends are now underneath. And because this loop does blend in so well with the wreath itself, I just mark it with a bow. It's on like my care instructions for my customers to just look for the loop. This is just a suggested way to hang it. People can hang it all different ways. Okay, and if you should pull a flower head off, they go back on very easily. Like greenery, I feel like sometimes. Okay, greenery, sometimes I feel like once it breaks, it's broken and I won't touch it. But for this, you just dip the stem in and you're just gonna put it right back in. If it wants to go. Okay, and now I'm just gonna add like a little dot here too. I just wanna make sure that this is gonna be nice and secure. All right. A little setback by moving things around, but it'll be worth it. Okay, so now we're gonna mirror this. We're gonna take our larger hydrangea bloom and have it towards the front. And then we're gonna take our smaller one because we want everything nice and balanced. Okay. No, I don't trust this, okay. Usually you can do that, but it looks like when I put it back on, I split like this piece of plastic. And so it's not worth risking it. The third of the flowers, it's gonna look pretty bad if one of the heads fell off. Okay. Put this right here, back on top. All right, and then we are going to, because this is gonna match the other wreath, we're gonna use some of this blue Ranaculus. And let's see what a cute way to space this would be. So because I want to keep it balanced, I just need to do like a quick count. So like I only have 2 of the small blooms and the rest are the big ones. I like the foliage here, so I'm just gonna push it up. If you leave it down and you try and, you know, put it through the grapevine, it's gonna get everything like all jammed up. So if you don't like it, just slide it off. And if you do like it, just slide it upward. These are so pretty. I love Ranaculus. I feel like they're very, very detailed, very pretty. And these are from Pioneer, and they have them in all different colors. And I love them all. So I do like seasonal wreaths. Not so much like holidays like Valentine's Day or like Easter, but I'll do, you know, fall and Christmas and all that stuff. Like the one I made for Easter, it's got like a really cute bunny on it, but it's just chilling here. Just might not be my core group, I guess. Might not be their thing. All right, so we're gonna alternate. And this one actually should have been in here first. Okay, and again, we don't want to crowd our bow. Gently nestled up against it, not super crowded. Okay, and then we're gonna take the two small blooms and we're gonna put them at the end. I always like to have something small and like possibly cascading off the end. I think it just creates a lot of visual interest. So I'm gonna leave a little space because we are gonna be coming in with the greens. I like to try and use 3 different types of greens with every design. I think that it adds a lot of texture and visual interest. So finding the right greenery is really important, because once you find the right stuff, you can like go ahead and just buy, you know, buy in bulk, but sometimes it's like so hit or miss. So, but for these I love, so this is Ruscus. The first green was the ficus, and let me grab some of the mixed fern. And I love this because I love the color of it. It's very vibrant. It's very springy. All right, so let's start with, we're gonna go back to our ficus because I can see that there's an imbalance right here. I feel like greenery also fixes a lot of things. Like if you take a step back and something doesn't look right, a lot of the time the balance has to do with the outside, and the outside is usually greens, at least with me. Okay, gonna mirror that down below. Always important to just like take a step back at some point because your whole perspective changes. I do in-person workshops here, and it's always interesting, like when people, like I'll hold somebody's wreath and have them look at it and they're like, oh yeah, there's a hole here, there's a hole here, things that you just didn't notice before. I hope everyone's having a good day. Started off my Monday hot today. Sometimes Mondays are a bit of a drag, but not today. It was a good day. I did, if you know Julie Samaco from Southern Charm Wreaths, today she did her first book club Zoom at 9:30. So I started my day off right. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with our mixed fern, and just like before, I'm gonna start at this top corner. And I love this because I love the flare it has and the movement. It's very, very airy. Sorry, I know I'm like blocking you right now. Okay. This is also one of the pushers. So like if it comes down like this, you can just gently push it up. If you push it too hard, it'll be like what I did to the hydrangea. it's going to fall apart. And with these greens, it's just like a series of separate pieces. So once greenery breaks, I have to toss it after that. All right. And everything is very malleable, so don't worry about bending things. You're not going to break it. You know, you can bend it one way, bend it another, totally fine. Make your materials work for you. Okay, now we're going to go in with our ruscus. This is another one, call them pushers, like Mean Girls. So you're going to just take it and slowly slide it up the stem. If you do it too quickly and it pops off, it's probably ruined. So I just try and be careful so nothing goes to waste. Betty, do you do a lot of Easter wreaths? Like I always just kind of do like one, and if it sells, I'll do more, but I'm a little cautious because I've just had years where they just did not really do much for me. All right, so now we're going in with our ruscus. And again, we start in the top corner. This is all muscle memory. If you are looking for a wreath recipe, this could be it. The more you do it, just the easier and easier it's going to get. I want some here. So not covering up our ranunculus. Then I want something separating these flowers. Things grow in nature. They don't just grow uniform. So I like having things that are like kind of like disrupting how things are growing. Let's go back down here. Okay. And continue with this top. And so this is a crescent wreath, just like a crescent moon. It's you know, not fully covered. Sorry, got tongue tied there. Okay, and then the last thing, let me just put some more ranunculus around the bow. And then we have some berries, and this is pretty much done. This is a very simple, kind of minimalistic design. And because it's going in between the storm door, we're keeping everything nice and flat. So we probably have about 5 inches of space without it getting squished. Let me see, let's just put something in between the bow and that blue ranunculus to keep them a little separate. Just short one piece. right, again, we don't want these also covering up the bow. We just want them to kind of fill this little gap here so that there's space in between the ranunculus and that. All right, so we're gonna put our berries on. So these are good quality berries. I feel like a lot of the ones you see in the stores have like it's like exposed styrofoam. These have a nice coating on them. So they're gonna be more resistant to any damage from the sun. You can also apply your UV spray on it and it won't like deteriorate them like it might with something that's pretty much just styrofoam. So these are from Pioneer. Okay, I want to give this a bend. Okay. And we're going to repeat below. Okay, and then we're going to just put one behind our bow. Okay, so now everything's nice and balanced. I'm just going to take a step back. So I'm missing a piece of ranunculus here, so I'm just going to correct that. Okay, now when we flip over our wreath, we have stems sticking all out the back. I call these door scratchers. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go through and trim all of those. And then we're gonna use our glue gun. And we're gonna need some moss. So this is just preserved moss. And it just kind of keeps up the natural aesthetic of our wreath. A little messy, but does the trick. Okay, so now you can see that where I'm trimming, that's the part that the glue was in. So anywhere that I trim, I need to go back and add glue to ensure that it's actually secured to the wreath. Okay. You always want to do this because you would not want to sell somebody a wreath and then have it damage their door. So I always like to think of the worst case scenario and then reverse engineer and figure out what systems need to be put in place, and this is one of them. Goodness, it's so quiet in here. Steve's sleeping. You know who stopped playing music for some reason. I won't say her name. It's going to trigger everyone else's. Okay, so once we have those all trimmed, we're now going to go back and we're going to glue everywhere that we cut. Okay, and usually I like to give it, you know, a couple seconds before going in with the moss. It's not worth burning yourself. So that glue gun is the Sure Bonder, and I think it's called like a cordless cord glue gun. It's good because it charges up enough that you can pretty much go through one glue stick before it needs to be recharged. I use the Gorilla Glue sticks, which I love. I think they're the best. I'm just kind of feeling around if I missed something. And I did. Okay. Some pieces on the side too. I'm not worried about the pieces on the side scratching anything, but I just don't like the way it looks, so I just want to cover it up. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna blast your eardrums with this, so I'm gonna jump off, but I'm just gonna take my hair dryer and I'm just gonna run through and just get any of the glue hairs off. And then my last step is to just use the Krylon spray. This is the UV treatment I talk about. It just slows down any damage from the sun. So you could get years out of a wreath instead of seasons, or like a season. So I always recommend that, you know, people use this, especially if you're selling. But for myself, even every year I go and I reapply this at the beginning and every ending of every season. And so usually if I get rid of a wreath, it's because I'm tired of it, not because, you know, it fell apart or the sun damaged it. So I get this at Michael's. They also have it at Walmart, and it's probably 10, 12 bucks. Well worth it. So I would give it a try. It is just like spray paint, so you have to spray it somewhere that's ventilated. So that is always my final step. All right. So thank you guys so much. Hey, Aaron. Hey, CO. If I said that right. Thanks so much. I got to get this finished so I can get it shipped out today. All right. Bye, guys.